Okay, let's just get started on this. The topic for tonight is exploring NFC on Android. I first gave this talk at Minibar earlier this spring. This will be a much pared down version. I want to let you guys get to your stuff, so I won't take up too much time. My name is Sean Weiser. That's my Twitter handle. I work at Livefront. Companies hire us to design and develop mobile apps and anything around that. Before I get into it, I want to put into a plug for a workshop that one of my coworkers, Benjamin Graham, is giving at Smart Factory. It's on Android Wear. It's from It's on October 29th from 1 to 5 p.m. If you go to smartfactory.com, you'll find more information there. Let's see. So, adding wearable features to notifications, creating wearable apps, sending and syncing data, Android Wear design principles, handling voice actions, reading data from wearable device sensors, and debugging Bluetooth. So if that interests you, let's go to smartfactory.com and sign up there. So let's get right into NFC. NFC is based on RFID technology. It always involves an initiator and a target. An initiator is able to power a passive target. For example, I bought some of these NFC tags. They're just done with tags, no power. But a phone with NFC on it is able to power them and read and write data to them. It requires a range of less than 20 centimeters to communicate, and the transfer rates are between 106 kilobits to 494 kilobits. So as you see, so here's a comparison between NFC and Bluetooth. As you see, the range is much lower, speeds are much slower, setup time it's fine. I'm going to show you an example of how close it actually has to be. That 20 centimeters is pretty optimistic.
8 inches.
What's that?
8 inches.
Yes.
I just checked.
So, for example, I'll try to read this tag here. You'll hear a beep when it actually successfully reads.
It's touching.
So the limitations of it are short range, very low data transfer rate, and I didn't get into this much, but it's costly to implement. For example, one of the usages later that I'll cover shortly is commerce using your phone to pay, and so businesses are going to have to implement or install their own readers to make all this work. So this technology isn't just there to use. So one of the more useful benefits of NFC, or the more what it's being used for now, is for connecting devices. Many Bluetooth peripherals, for example, actually use NFC to help pair it to your device. It pretty much is used to initiate the connection, and that's pretty much it. NFC is good for those small data transfers. And as I referenced before, one of the possible uses is commerce. For example, Google Wallet. It has tap and pay functionality, now available on most devices running Android 4.4. This was introduced, the tap to pay was actually introduced way back in September 2011. I know Apple Pay is now in use, so that's going to be a big selling point there for them, for Apple. But NFC was on Google way before that. So the way the Google Wallet works is something called card emulation. You can do either card emulation with a secure element or a host-based card emulation. Before KitKat, the only way to do it was a host-based card emulation. This next slide will offer some explanation of this. So this is with the secure element. So in here, the NFC reader is actually communicating directly with the secure element. This was a problem with many devices before KitKat because the carriers did not allow Android to actually access the secure element, so it was pretty much off limits. With host-based card emulation, however, the NFC reader is able to communicate directly with the host CPU. So this was first implemented in 4.4, and that's why now most devices running 4.4 are able to use this. So besides paying for things, identification is also a possible use. For example, you have your any personal information, your rewards cards, pretty much anything in your wallets, will be able to be placed inside your phone, any device really. And then what really interests me and what kind of got me going on NFC is this idea of automation. These tags, for example, I can program them or write to them, and then with a device read from them and carry out some menial, simple task that I would rather not have to do over and over again. So if we get to some demos or some code, I'll show you some of that. So developing for NFC on Android. So there's 3 different modes. There's reader-writer mode that is basically reading and writing from these tags. P2P mode, that's where two NFC devices communicate together. For example, there's a technology on Android called Android Beam that actually uses NFC to pair and then communicates over either Bluetooth or Wi-Fi direct. And then there's also card emulation mode that we touched on briefly when we were talking about the Google Wallet. So NFC tags vary in complexity. I'm just going to focus on the simplest tags. There's something called the tag dispatch system. We'll get into that a little bit. So one of the simpler tags are called end-up tags. They have the best support of any tag on Android. There are many APIs in the Android language to read and write from them. Data is stored in an end-up message that contains one or more end-up records. The first record contains info about the entire message. It will contain a type name format, the record state type, and a data payload. So here are the different tag mappings. We are going to focus mainly on TF external type here and TNF well known. So for TNF well known, there are some specific record types. We're most interested in RTD text and RTD URI. So when a device reads an NFC tag, 3 possible intents are pushed out. This is in order of priority. So first, an action end-up discovered is sent out. Apps can, kind of like how any Android app can declare that they're able to handle intent. This is the same thing. An app can say that it's going to handle one of these 3 intents, and we'll get into a little more of how you can even get it more fine-grained. So there's action end-up discovered, action tag discover, and finally action tag discover. So it goes down the list if no app can actually handle these events. So here's some intent filter that would be in the Android manifest for apps that are able to read NFC tags. This first one here, it's only looking for text plain tags. So if it finds something else besides text plain, it's not going to handle that at all. And the next one below is actually handling custom external type. So when another cool thing about NFC tags is that a tag can contain Android application records. So if a device reads a tag with an AR, it can automatically start the application. And if the app isn't present, the device will actually reroute the user to the Play Store to download the app. That's isn't applicable to us right now. So let me show you some code. So this is a basic NFC reader.
Is there a presentation order now?
Your main references, view and then end of presentation down near the bottom.
There you go. Didn't know about that.
Much better. I think it's in 13.
Presentation. Nice.
So let's see. Some key things to point out here. So here we have intent filters. So we're advertising that we're able to handle in-depth discover and tag discover. So this enables foreground dispatch here. If your app is in the foreground, it'll get preference to any tag that actually matches anything that you're advertising. So there's no other apps will get in the way if your app is in the foreground. That's pretty much what it means. On pause, we just disable it so that we don't disturb other apps. So here, this is the real meat here, this read tag. So when an intent comes in, we can check the action, whether it's end-depth discover or tag discover. Grab the tag. So one of the things you can do is check if the tag is writable. So all we do is, we're just dealing with end-depth tags here. So all we have to do is do end-depth get tag, connect to it, and then check if it's writable. So that's actually really simple. So we did get an end-depth tag. We'll connect to it again. We'll get max size, which is actually the remaining size available to write on the tag. And then what we are going to do, so we'll output the text tag capacity over. And then we'll actually read the message here. All we do is call get in-depth message. And the message is going to contain multiple records, so we'll iterate over that, and then just spit out what it is. It's going to be hard to see. Let's see if we can get these working. you'll see this, but so all it says is GDG. So I had written GDG to this tag beforehand. So that's a reader, very, very simple reader.
And do you write from your phone to the tag?
Can, yep. I'll show you the writer next.
How much information can a tag hold?
It depends. Let's see, this tag has 137 bytes remaining, so it's not meant to hold much at all. It's mostly going to be text.
You're lucky to fit a URL on there.
Yep.
So there's like 144 bytes and also 1K byte.
So you got a header or something.
1K.
That's the tweet of the future. It's so true.
So the writer's a little more complicated. It's usually get it up and running in the emulator just to show what it looks like. I won't be able to actually use it on the emulator because there's no NFC.
There recently, is it a lot faster than it was before?
This is Genymotion. It's separate from the default Android emulator. So this is much faster. So this app allows us to write a payload here, example test. We can either write it as text, we can either write it as a URI or an external. Text will just be read like this, just basically URI. So I think I have one here. Should open this up. We'll open up the browser. So it's pretty much a glorified QR code. And then external, which is, so you can specify a custom domain, so it's easier to filter out medium tags. And then you can actually make tags readable as well.
Is there any sort of security with these tags? Security?
More complex tags do have security. I don't know much about it. That would be interesting to actually look more into.
Making a tag like read only.
Yep, you can make it read only. I'm not sure what exactly that does. Because I think you can actually reformat it and go by uses anyway. So I don't know if that's actually useful or not.
So more read mostly.
What's that? So let's get actually to the right side. So here we're going to check if the tag is writable. If it's not, we just throw an error message. Here. Oops. So that is just an API called write and def message. So here's where we actually get the information for the tag. We check if it's external, whether it's URI or if it's just text. Android has APIs to do each specific type, so create external. We can actually, like I said before, we can actually set the domains that we want. If it's URI, we just pass in the string. And if it's text, we just pass in just content. So it's really very, very simple. And then there's just one other thing that I want to show quickly. So this is just a custom app. It reads tags just like the tag reader. If I look at the intent filter here, we're looking for external types of tags with the domain com.livefront.nfc. So we're going to handle those. So I have a few tags today that I had written before. One has the payload wake up, one has the payload sleep, and one has the payload car. So we're going to read the tag here. Right here. And then depending on what the payload is, we're actually going to perform one of 3 tasks. For example, if I could put one of these tags that I'm going to send, so then when I go to sleep, I actually set an alarm for 6 a.m. so that I don't have to set it manually. So there's also a wake up. And for sleep, it also shuts down the audio service. So then there's also a wake up, which I actually turn it back on. And then another possible usage. Let's say you forget where you park. You're going to some event. You're parking in some unknown parking lot. You could actually have a tag in your car that, when you scan it, actually sets the location. So it actually grabs your location, sets the latitude, longitude, stores it in the app. Then, let's see, location. There's actually a menu option to retrieve it, and then marks it on a map, and then you should be able to find your way back. So those are just a few fun little things that I was trying out with these cheap little NFC tags. I just ordered them off Amazon. They're a little cheap, $5 or $6 for a bunch of these.
So is there a good place to start? Get with a code base or the sample code, or?
The Google documentation NFC is actually really, really good. So I would start there. There are many examples online. I do have my source code available as well.
GitHub?
Somewhere, it's on GitHub.
Oh.
Let me see if I can put it real quick. It's on my personal one or this. So it's github.com/livefront/NFC-Android. I can take a look at those. My slides are on there too. Any other questions?
What are some other practical examples, like maybe commercial applications that you've heard of, or something like that? I haven't heard of any.
That's the thing. I haven't heard that many either.
Okay.
Mainly the Google Wallet. Like I was saying, some of the Bluetooth peripherals actually use it to connect to start the pairing between the device and the peripheral. I think there's actually not that many that I know of. Colin might know
Yeah,
some more.
most of the things that use NFC are either using tapping as a way of pairing two devices together, or you can also do it, little tricks with it, like you use your phone as a trigger for various things. Like I'll put an NFC tag on top of my clothes washer or my dishwasher, and then when I'm finished putting the load in there, I'll just tap my phone on the tag and have an alarm on my phone. Or you can have a tag on the door of your car that turns off Wi-Fi, turns on Bluetooth, for example, and one on your office door does the opposite. You know, things like that are common uses. There's a lot of things that people haven't done yet because they were waiting for Apple to jump on board and do NFC as well, so that they could reach an entire ecosystem. I think in the future you're going to see more advertising where it's tapped to get information. Like it's obvious they can't do that if it's only 30-40% of the phones that can do it. It's easier to use than the QR codes at short range.
Okay. From what I've read is there was a lot of fight among the big corps players that couldn't come up with a standard format for dealing with it, so Apple wouldn't get into it because it was too confusing.
They said at one time iPhones will never have NFC.
Yeah, I think so.
A lot of people said that. I think it was.
So now they have iBeacon.
This is not related to iBeacon, though.
No,
No.
but it uses the beam. They both use the same BLE.
Oh. Well, usually the argument for this versus something like iBeacon or Bluetooth is that this actually uses closeness, so it's a tapping motion rather than being something that just transfers data. You have to, if you're going to share something that's got to be secure or private, it's better to do it by tapping than something that's going to broadcast to the whole room.
It looks like the Apple Watch has NFC, so maybe if Apple opens that up,
They
talk with an Android one.
They say it's not opened up on the iPhone 6 or the Apple Watch yet, but it's there, and they can open it up later. I think the guess most people have is about 8 to 9 months or so. We'll see open to developers.
Right now it's just for
Apple Pay, yes.
Oh, it's totally
For the time being.
yeah. They'll probably at some point.
I stayed in a hotel a couple months ago in Wisconsin, and the key was an RFID tag, and I was able to reformat it. So now I've got one more NFC tag for free, because, well, I mean, after I was done.
Have you paid yet?
It doesn't make sense to do it before you're done with the room, right?
No, it's I lost my keys.
lost my card, yes.
It's not working. Well,
Unless you can reformat it to open up the door next door.
Right. Not going there. But, I mean, that's sort of smoking anyways. Okay. I've put tags on my kid's backpack and on the door to maybe the house, and also in like his drawing, and then anyway, another book of his. So when he comes home and I'm the one catching him from the bus, the wife always wants me to text and say, like, okay, I got him, whatever. Now I just touch, beep, and an SMS to say that it says Andy backpack.
Not stolen.
And on the door, send one that says house arriving, house leaving. So those are kind of easy to understand.
Yeah, it's good for simple things like that.
Oh. On the keychain to turn on and off Wi-Fi hotspot. That is super because then you don't have to click like 3 different times to get to the things from Wi-Fi hotspot, and just toggle, click it again, it turns it off.
Yeah, automation is a great point for NFC.
I have at least one example in here. I've done a couple. This is an NFC speaker. I think I also have an NFC mouse somewhere in the backpack if I can find it. But yeah, in most cases you'd be pairing the NFC, and it's you just tap your phone on top of it, and it makes a Bluetooth pairing that way. Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, so when you tap an NFC tag, does every app that's registered for that intent get notified, or is it?
So I don't know if it's in this one, but there's a foreground something that you, if your app's in the foreground, you can declare that only it will get those intents. If it's not, it's like the intent dispatch system with Android, where everything gets notified. Google.
Can you set a preference then to narrow it down?
I guess I haven't tried. I know with other apps you can set always use this.
Yeah.
Google recommends that only one app be able to deal with it, because NFC is meant to be a simple, quick process. So I guess there's no stopping other people from advertising that it'll handle those intents, but it's meant just one app per intent pretty much.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, guys.